Join our community by subscribing. Every click helps us share more stories like this one. The introduction. In the quiet town of Willow Creek, nestled among the whispering pines and rolling hills of Central Oregon, the cracks in the facade of small-town life often remain hidden beneath a veneer of tranquility. The sun glimmers through the leaves, casting playful shadows over sidewalks lined with quaint houses. But beneath the surface of this picturesque setting lies a darkness that would soon unravel the very fabric of this community. It was a cool autumn morning in October 2019 when the first threads began to fray. The local high school was abuzz with the gossip of football games and homecoming preparations. But one conversation was gaining traction, a rumor about a missing girl. Lily Anderson, a 17-year-old senior with dreams of becoming an artist, had not returned after a late-night outing with friends. Her absence was noted at first with mild concern. Then it snowballed into frantic whispers gripping the town. As the hours stretched into days, her worried mother, Marlene, stood by the window of their modest home, her heart pounding as she mulled over the possibilities. Lily was never the type to disappear without a trace, and the thought of something sinister lurking in the crisp Oregon air chilled her more than the autumn breeze. Meanwhile, the police scoured the familiar haunts of the teensy small diner, the park, local woods, but each search yielded nothing but the echo of Lily's laughter, a fading reminder of a life It wouldn't be long before the community's innocence was shattered. In the coming weeks, Willow Creek would learn that the quaintness they adored was threatened by the very chaos they hoped to escape. For in the shadows, secrets brewed, and a race against time began only that would demand unearthing truths better left buried. The victim, Lily Anderson, was more than just a girl from Willow Creek. She was a kaleidoscope of vibrant colors and dreams. Her artistic disposition found expression in the delicate strokes of paint that adorned canvases in her room, each creation a piece of her soul laid bare to the world. From a young age, her mother had encouraged her to pursue art, even when the other kids found solace in athletics or academics. Lily found her tribe in the school's art club, where friendships blossomed amidst clays and watercolors. She was known for her generosity, often volunteering at the local animal shelter, nurturing stray cats and dogs with as much care as she did her paintings. Friends described her as fiercely loyal and contagiously optimistic, a beacon of light in the otherwise mundane rhythms of small-town existence. On weekends, she would capture the beauty of Willow Creek in her sketchbook, drawn to the meandering river that threaded through the woods, the hills that cradled their town, and the quaint park where childhood memories danced on the breeze. However, shadows occasionally passed over her bright disposition. Recently, she had confided in a close friend about feeling pressure from her peers. The expectations to maintain excellent grades and secure college acceptance weighed heavily on her shoulders. The looming specter of adulthood had begun seeping into her consciousness, pushing aside the beautiful simplicity of her youth. As days turned into a frantic search for Lily, that vibrant spirit came to symbolize more than just a missing girl. She became the heart of a community grappling with fear. Her face plastered on flyers, the indelible smile haunting the walls, served as a reminder of laughter, now silent. Schools organized vigils in her honor, and candlelit gatherings transformed the town square into a makeshift memorial, a visual testament not only to her absence, but also to innocence on the precipice of loss. Little did they know, the darkness that awaited would test their very resolve, revealing layers of secrets entwined within the town itself. The crime scene. The air was thick with tension as Officer Mark Thompson arrived at the secluded edge of the Fallow Creek woods, just outside Willow Creek. The location was quiet, almost serene, but the unsettling energy buzzing around him hinted at the gravity of the situation. Days had passed since Lily's disappearance, and the search team scouring the dense thicket had unearthed something that would forever change Willow Creek. As Officer Thompson stepped through the tangled underbrush, his heart raced beneath his uniform. Soon, he caught sight of the gathering crowd. Family, friends, and volunteers waited anxiously, their hopeful expressions now twisted. "Stay back," he called, gesturing to the line of caution tape fluttering in the wind. The crime scene, cordoned off and marked by the stark yellow tape, was haunting in its stillness. A hastily constructed makeshift shelter stood nearby, likely a hangout for local youths. Broken bottles and worn-out blankets were scattered across the ground, but it was what lay within the shelter hidden from plain sight that sent a chill down Officer Thompson's spine. Under a pile of decaying leaves, the unmistakable silhouette of a backpack caught his attention. Its familiar color, a rural reminder of the girl who had carried it. He knelt beside the backpack, heart hammering as he unzipped it. Inside, he found a sketchbook filled with Lily's vibrant drawings. Her name scribbled on the inside cover in bold, confident letters. This unmistakable evidence weighed heavily in the air, a tangible piece of her life, nestled alongside a cracked phone, her lifeline to the world. But the search... The forensic team arrived shortly after, methodically documenting the scene, capturing photos of every potential clue, no matter how small. They carefully brushed away leaves and twigs, collecting samples and gathering evidence, all the while knowing that the fate of a young girl dangled in the balance. As they worked, the tension hung like a dark cloud above the woods, a palpable reminder that a puzzle was being assembled, one piece at a time. But as day turned to dusk, the dread deepened. The woods not only harbored secrets, they were disrupted the fragile peace of Willow Creek. The community could feel an ominous shift, the reality of evil creeping uninvited into their lives, a haunting that would linger long after the darkness fell. The early investigation. With the discovery of Lily's belongings, the investigation moved into high gear, urgency overshadowing the air of Willow Creek. Detectives Rachel Monroe and Tom Baker were assigned to the case. Their experience seasoned both by triumphs and failures in previous investigations. They set to work dissecting every detail of the young girl's life, hoping to find a clue that could lead them to her. Detective Monroe, a woman with intense gray eyes that seemed to reflect the weight of the world, took the lead in interviewing Lily's friend. Each conversation unfolded like petals of a flower, revealing layers of complicity within the tight-knit group. The friends, despite their shared concerns, were hesitant, their faces drawn tight with fear and uncertainty. The innocence of youth clashed with the stark reality of the investigation. They had seen the darkness that seeped through their town, but vulnerabilities lurked in each whispered secret. In each interview, the detectives unearthed fragments of Lily's life, her interest in a mysterious older boy named Jake, who had recently moved to Willow Creek his shadow often cast over their youthful escapade. Some of her friends claimed she had been excited about a late-night rendezvous, though the details remained murky. As leads appeared and vanished like smoke, the detectives struggled to piece together the timeline of Lily's final hours. They became familiar with each local hangout, retracing her steps. The diner, the park, the creek where she often sketched. Every spot carried whispers of the night she vanished, but no sightings emerged to provide necessary clarity. Meanwhile, the local news was buzzing with updates, and the town's pulse quickened with each report. Sluggishly, the once charming environment of Willow Creek gave way to anxiety, transformed into a landscape of sleepless nights and worried families. The detectives knew that public pressure was mounting, and every breath drawn within the community felt weighted. With every passing hour, time slipped through their fingers like grains of sand. It was now not only a matter of finding Lily, but also asserting hope against the encroaching despair. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the town became bathed in shadows, a stark reminder that chilling secrets could lay just beyond the veil. Determined, Detective Monroe and Baker pressed on, knowing that every moment was critical. Each clue found was a flicker of light in a growing darkness. But with every revelation, an unsettling feeling settled deep within them. Could they uncover the truth before it was too late? The dead ends. As the days turned into a disheartening week, the investigation into Lily Anderson's disappearance began to take its toll on Detective Rachel Monroe and her partner, Detective Tom Baker. What had once felt like an urgent quest for answers gradually morphed into a labyrinth of frustration. Leads that had promised potential vanished as quickly as they arrived, leaving only confusion in their wake. One promising tip had come from a local bartender who claimed to have seen Lily and Jake arguing outside the diner the night she disappeared. The detectives rushed to follow up, eager to gain insights into their relationship. However, when they approached Jake, now a reluctant figure who had retreated into the shadows, he denied having had a confrontation. In fact, he claimed they had parted amicably, assuring the detectives that he knew nothing of her whereabouts since then. The disappointment was palpable. Over the following days, other potential witnesses were interviewed, but their testimonies collided. Where one friend saw laughter, another recalled tension. Gossip and miscommunication ensued, complicating matters further. As each thread unraveled, it became painfully clear that the town's collective anxiety was yielding a toxic mix of fear and misinformation. The small town camaraderie they had once cherished now birthed suspicion as accusations flew beneath the surface. Searching the woods multiple times yielded little more than discarded objects that offered no connection to Lily. The detectives combed through surveillance footage from the diner and nearby shops, replaying the same few frames repeatedly, hoping for a glimmer of hope. Yet, with each failed effort to identify details or establish a timeline, they grappled with an unnerving truth. The clock was ticking, and leads were fading like remnants of a dying dream. Determined not to give in to despair, Monroe and Baker recalibrated their focus. But each passing day left them uneasy. The weight of the community's stares bore down on them. Eyes filled with uninhibited curiosity mixed with fear. Eager for answers they themselves could barely provide. A darkness had settled upon Willow Creek, thick and impenetrable, and the sense of urgency transformed into a poignant desperation. Heading home that evening, Monroe glanced at the stars shimmering in the night sky, each twinkle a haunting reminder that time was slipping away. Would they be able to penetrate the cloud of silence enveloping Lily's story before hope faded entirely? With every dead end, the burden on their shoulders grew heavier, but surrender was never an option. The quest for the truth had only just begun. A break in the case. A bitter wind swept through the streets of Willow Creek as the morning of November 4th dawned, carrying with it an air of uncertainty. Detective Rachel Monroe sat in her cramped office, the dull hum of fluorescent lights flickering above her head. She was surrounded by case files strewn across her desk like fallen leavest tangential leads, and false hopes littered the landscape of her mind. Just when the weight of despair felt insurmountable, a much-anticipated call came through. "Detective Monroe, we have something." Sergeant Lee's voice crackled from the other end of the line, cutting through the pervasive gloom. "You need to come down to the station. It's about Lily." In an instant, Monroe's heart raced with both hope and trepidation. She quickly gathered her things and rushed to the police department, her mind spinning with possibilities. When she arrived, the tension was palpable. Officers huddled in a quiet corner, their expressions shifting from worry to determination. A member of the forensic team had contacted Sergeant Lee after examining data retrieved from Lily's phone, discovered in the woods alongside her backpack. The detectives had believed the device was irreparably damaged, yet, in a stroke of luck, forensic specialists had managed to extract fragments of its encrypted files. An undisclosed message appeared to contain clues that pointed toward a location outside of town. Monroe's breath caught as the team shared the details of a recent exchange between Lily and an unidentified number. "It looks like she had been planning to meet someone," Sergeant Lee explained, his brow furrowed in concentration. "The messages imply a rendezvous near the old Millstone Quarry, an abandoned site just north of Willow Creek. We think she may have been lured out there unexpectedly." The newfound information electrified the room, a collective sense of urgency igniting a fire within the team. Monroe and Baker swiftly organized a search party, enlisting local authorities to scour the quarry. The desolation of the place was notorious among townsfolk. Jagged rocks and steep embankments made it a dangerous area, abandoned for its perilous cliffs and rumors of an unseen history. As the officers prepared their gear, Monroe could feel the tension in the air shift from despair to cautious optimism. It was a fragile hope, yet the prospect of finally uncovering the truth reignited the flicker of determination within her. With the path ahead shrouded in uncertainty, they ventured forth, hearts pounding with the possibility that they were finally on the brink of a breakthrough in the heartbreaking mystery of Lily's disappearance. Little did they know, the quarry held not only answers, but perhaps a confrontation that would eclipse even their deepest fear. The suspect. The Millstone Quarry loomed ahead, its jagged cliffs piercing the overcast sky like a specter from a forgotten time. Detective Rachel Monroe steadied her breath as she surveyed the terrain from the car, the uneven ground swirling with shadows. Around her, the team gathered gear and reviewed safety protocols, but her mind was consumed with images of Lily vibrant, alive, her laughter echoing in the corners of her memory. With Baker at her side, they entered the quarry with steely resolve, moving cautiously along the worn paths. As the officers split off into groups, the echoes of footsteps felt like a chorus of urgency, each crunch of gravel beneath their boots resonating with the gravity of the moment. Monroe pondered the implications of that last text message. The thought that someone could lure Lily here left a bitter taste in her mouth. As they scoured the landscape, a solid structure suddenly came into view, a long-abandoned warehouse near the cliff's edge. Its exterior was weathered and dilapidated, yet something about it pulled Monroe closer. "Let's check it out," she said, her voice low but filled with determination. Inside the warehouse, The air was stale and thick with dust. As their flashlights illuminated the darkness, Monroe's focus shifted to a figure hunched over a makeshift table in the corner. Adrenaline coursed through her veins. There sat Jake, the boy from town, widely regarded with equal measures of interest and skepticism. His hair was disheveled and clothes unkempt, but the unsettling calmness etched on his face suggested he knew more than he should. "Jake," Monroe called, stepping forward, her tone firm yet measured. "We needed to talk." He looked up, surprise flickering across his features, before quickly morphing into defensiveness. "I didn't do anything," he blurted, eyes darting around the room as if seeking an escape. I'm just waiting for Lily." "Wait," Baker interjected, stepping into the light. "You've been spotted around her last known hanging areas, and now we find you here, alone." "What's going on, Jake?" His demeanor began to shift, palpable tension weaving through the air. "I swear, I'm not involved. I was. We were going to meet. I wanted to talk to her about everything." He stammered, every word laced with anxiety. "About what?" Monroe pressed, moving closer. The fragments of his conversation were coming together in unsettling ways: jealousy, the possessiveness, all woven into the fabric of their strained teenage love. As they questioned him further, Jake glanced nervously around the warehouse, the shadows casting innocent illusions while unease swirled within his smudged facade. They picked up on the details, the way his hands trembled when he spoke of her absence, the flicker of something dark within his eyes. Dread pooled in the pit of Monroe's stomach. Uncertainty plagued the investigation like a ghost that refused to fade. With each evasive word from Jake, it became conspicuously clear that he could either be the key to finding Lily or the architect of her deepest fears. In the dangerous game of cat and mouse, Monroe realized they were inching closer to a truth woven in shadows, one that could lead to salvation or unravel into chaos. The quarry hadn't just revealed a suspect. It had unleashed buried secrets that could change everything. The trial. The cold light of a January morning filtered through the courthouse windows, casting stark shadows across the faces of the spectators gathered to witness the trial of Jake Sullivan. The small-town atmosphere held a tense stillness that mimicked the solemnity of the proceedings. As the whispers rippled through the gallery, everyone knew this trial wouldn't just decide Jake's fate, it would redefine the very essence of Willow Creek. Detective Rachel Monroe sat in the front row, her hands clasped tightly in her lap, her expression focused and grave. Months had passed since Lily's remains were discovered in a shallow grave at the edge of the quarry. In that time, the once tight community had been ripped apart by grief, anger, and confusion. Many clung to the hope that justice would prevail, while others dwelled in disbelief. As the evidence unfolded, prosecutors painted a haunting picture of the events leading to Lily's death. They meticulously detailed the timeline leading up to her disappearance, relying on text messages, witness statements, and forensic evidence that tied Jake to the quarry that fateful night. The prosecution's case spilled like a thunderstorm, each testimony punctuated by gasps from the gallery as they recounted Lily's last moments. Monroe sat quietly, the images of her vibrant face haunting her as she felt the weight of responsibility for not being able to prevent the tragedy. Jake's defense attorneys maneuvered deftly, suggesting that while he had been present, he was merely a distressed boyfriend caught in a web of teenage emotions. They painted him as a victim of circumstances beyond his control, attempting to evoke sympathy from the jury. Jake loved Lily dearly, one attorney argued. That love led him to her, not to take her life. The atmosphere grew tense as the trial progressed, revealing wounds that ran deep within the community. Friends and family of both Lily and Jake filled the courtroom, their faces etched with sorrow, rage, and disbelief. Rumors surrounding their relationship twisted through the testimony like a tendril of smoke, exposing jealousy and insecurities that spiraled into something far more sinister. As the trial reached its climax, Monroe felt a mixture of anger and determination. She had dedicated her days to uncovering the truth, surmounting layers of deceit to protect Lily's memory. During her own testimony, she spoke candidly about the search, the evidence, and the heavy burden of confronting the evil that lurked in the shadows. Her voice was strong, and when she looked at the jury, her hope was palpable. They would see beyond Jake's act and recognize the reality of his actions. After days of deliberation, the jury returned with their verdict. As the foreperson stood to speak, the courtroom fell silent. Strains of anxiety mixed with hope filled the air as the words guilty echoed through the chamber. Tears flowed from Lily's family as a hush settled over them, the phrase both a closure and a beginning. Jake's face, once a mask of bravado, crumbled beneath the weight of his conviction. The community stood at the precipice of changed identities, grappling with the truth of what had transpired within their ranks. It was not just about justice for Lily anymore. This was a moment that would linger, binding them all to the shared trauma that can cement a community in unexpected ways. As the gavel fell and Jake was led away, Rachel Monroe took a deep breath of release of tension she hadn't even realized she held. Though it didn't erase the pain or bring Lily back, it affirmed the collective strength of those left behind, demonstrating that in the darkest hours, they would still stand as a beacon of hope. Determined never to forget. The aftermath of the trial enveloped Willow Creek like a persistent fog, both cleansing and heavy. The verdict had brought a sense of resolution, yet the scars of loss ran deep. Each person in the town now bore the weight of griefsome as a quiet acknowledgement of what had transpired. Others as a thunderous echo of the life that had ended too soon. Life moved on, albeit slowly. The Anderson home, once bustling with laughter and creativity, turned into a somber monument. Marlene, Lily's mother, retreated into the cocoon of her memories, spending hours in Lily's art studio where paintbrushes and half-finished canvases lay untouched. Friends offered their support, but they could feel the gulf that had opened up, widening with each unshared word, each suppressed emotion. At school, her absence was palpable. Amassing all the artwork Lily had created during her years, the art club organized a memorial exhibit in her honor, displaying her pieces as vivid reminders of her spirit. As Monroe walked through the halls adorned with Lily's work, she felt both pride and deep sorrow. This was a showcase of a life lived authentically, yet marred by tragedy, a poignant testament to a girl who dreamed of creating beauty in a world that had turned cruel. The community held a vigil at the park to illuminate the fractured hearts left in the wake of Lily's absence. Candle flames flickered against the night, mingling together to form a constellation of memories. Together, they shared stories, whispered secrets, and released balloons into the night sky, each one carrying messages of love, hope, and longing. The collective grief began to crystallize into solidarity, a determination to honor Lily's memory by ensuring no one else would fall prey to darkness without support. Detective Monroe became a fixture of the community as well. She attended the exhibit, engaging in heartfelt conversations with townsfolk who expressed gratitude for her dedication. They spoke of the looming questions. What if someone else in their tight-knit community harbored darkness? How would they heal? Months later, as winter melted into spring, change began to bloom within Willow. The town organized workshops to discuss mental health and the complexities of young relationships, seeking to break down the barriers of communication that had kept emotions bottled up. Monroe played a vital role in these sessions, sharing her insights not only as a detective, but as a member of the community deeply invested in its healing. Lily's story transformed into a catalyst for awareness, inspiring young people in Willow Creek to examine their relationships, confront their feelings, and break free from the shadows of insecurity and jealousy that had ensnared them. As the first blossoms bloomed after a long winter, there was a renewed spirit buzzing through the town. The mural in the park dedicated to Lily now stood as a beacon of resilience and hope, a vivid swirl of colors capturing her life and passions, a testament to the artistry she had brought into their world. Though the road to healing remained long, each step was a testament to the strength of a community unified by loss. They had endured a chapter of darkness, but were learning to step forward, honoring the light that Lily had once cast upon their lives, vowing to carry her memory into the future with grace and love. Reflection. As the leaves fell from the trees, carpeting the ground in a patchwork of red and gold, the town of Willow Creek settled into a reflective lull. The echoes of the past year reverberated through its streets, each corner imbued with lessons learned and shadows faced. Detective Rachel Monroe found herself often retreating to the park, now vibrant with life and laughter, a landscape forged in the wake of tragedy, yet evolving into a canvas drenched in resilience and hope. In the moments of solitude, Monroe reflected on her role not just as a detective, but as a caretaker of the fragile tapestry of community. The loss of Lily Anderson had turned the lives of many upside down. Yet beneath the sorrow lay an undeniable strength, a bond forged through shared experience. Conversations radiated warmth now, no longer shrouded in whispers of uncertainty, but illuminated by the desire to heal and support. Every survivor harbored their own story. Individual struggles woven together by the common threads of grief and understanding. Monroe often recalled Marlene, Lily's mother, who transformed her sorrow into advocacy for mental health awareness. The woman once enveloped in mourning now stood on stages, sharing her daughter's story as a call to action, ensuring others would be seen and heard, that no one would feel alone in their pain. Spring's arrival brought new life to Willow Creek as flowers bloomed just beyond the mural of Lily the brilliant colors, a reminder of her spirit that would forever illuminate the lives she touched. As Monroe took a deep breath, filled with the crisp scent of renewal, she accepted that healing was an ongoing journey. Moments of joy would ebb and flow with reflections of loss, but this was a balance she had learned to navigate along the way. The shadows would always remain, suggestive of challenges faced, yet in each flickering candle and every community gathering, the light of hope persisted. Each reflection brought insight, encouraging connections that extended far beyond the grasp of grief. Willow Creek, once on the precipice of despair, now radiated resilience emboldened by a shared promise to carry forward the lessons of the past, nurturing a space for hope, empathy, and understanding.